Be honest. When you speak English, does your brain freeze for a second? Like the ideas are there, but they're stuck behind a door you can't open? You try to speak, but your mind translates every word from your language first. And by the time you finally say it, the moment is gone. Today, Jack and Emma will show you the real reason this happens, and how to finally start thinking in English automatically. This is Learn English with Ease.
English made powerful, simple, and yours. Jack. I talked to a learner yesterday, and he said something that broke my heart. He told me, "Emma, I know the words, I know the grammar, but when I speak English, I feel like my brain refuses to cooperate. It's like English is locked behind a heavy door." And I felt that so deeply because millions of people feel that exact same thing.
I've heard this too. It's like your mouth wants to speak English, but your thoughts are still happening in your native language. And that tiny 1-second delay, just 1 second, makes people feel slow, shy, embarrassed, or even not good enough. But guess what? Thinking in your language first is not a sign of low intelligence. It's not even a sign of bad English. It's simply a sign that your brain is doing what it's designed to do: protect you.
Exactly. And people don't realize this. Your brain loves safety. It loves the familiar. Your native language? Safe, comfortable, automatic. English? New, unpredictable. So your brain says, wait, don't speak yet. Translate first. Make no mistakes. It slows you down because it's scared for you.
And that fear? That's the real enemy. Not English. Not vocabulary. Fear is the thing that forces your brain to translate everything first. Because when you're scared of making mistakes, your brain switches into survival mode. It wants control. It wants certainty. It wants perfection.
And perfection kills fluency. Perfection kills confidence. Perfection kills natural speaking. That's why people think in their native language first. It's not because they're bad at English. It's because they are too scared to trust themselves.
Let me give an example. Imagine you're in a cafe. Someone asks you, "Hey, what do you want to drink?" Your brain hears the question, but then you begin this whole mental drama. What did they just ask? How do I answer? Should I say, "I want," or "I would like"? What if I sound rude? What if I say it wrong? Boom. Translated thinking. Anxiety. Freeze.
And people think they have a vocabulary problem. No, they have a confidence problem. Because thinking in English is emotional, not technical. Your brain shifts languages based on comfort, not skill.
So the big question is this: how do you teach your brain that English is safe? Because when English feels safe, your thoughts switch automatically. Your brain stops translating. Your words come out naturally.
And the beautiful thing is, you don't need advanced English to think in English. You just need emotional comfort. You need exposure. You need repetition. You need to remove fear. And most importantly, you need to stop judging yourself every time you speak.
Let me tell you something powerful. Your brain already has the ability to think in English. It's not a skill you need to learn. It's a habit you need to unlock. And right now, the reason it's locked is because you keep switching back to your native language for emotional safety.
And you know the funny part? When people are alone, they think in English more easily. Have you noticed that? When no one is judging, no one is watching, no one is listening, suddenly English becomes easier. That tells us everything. It's not a language problem. It's a fear problem.
So let's break it down. The first reason you think in your native language is fear. The second reason is control. The third reason is translation habit. But the fourth one? This one surprises people. You don't trust your English voice yet.
Absolutely. Everyone has two voices, your native language voice and your English voice. And most learners don't feel connected to their English voice. They feel like it's someone else speaking. Like they're acting, like they're pretending.
And that pretending feeling makes the brain panic. It pushes you back to your native language thoughts because that's your real identity. And identity is powerful. Identity decides how you speak, how you react, how comfortable you feel.
But here's the truth. Your English voice is not fake. It's just young. It's a baby version of you that needs time to grow. And babies learn through mistakes, not perfection. That's why thinking in English only happens when you allow your English voice to grow without judging it.
And the moment you stop judging it, the moment you relax, something magical happens. Your brain begins to think in English automatically, without translating, without fear, without hesitation.
Jack, tell them the exercise, the one that instantly switches the brain from native language to English, the one you use with shy learners.
Ah, yes, the 2-second English switch. I love this one. Ah, yes, the 2-second English switch. I love this one because it sounds simple, but the effect is huge. Here's how it works. The moment someone talks to you in English, or the moment you want to say something in English, you give yourself just 2 seconds to respond. Not to translate, not to plan, just 2 seconds to trust your instincts. Because when you force yourself to respond quickly, your brain doesn't have time to go back to your native language.
Exactly. And people think they need more time to give the perfect answer, but that's wrong. The more time you take, the more your brain panics and switches back to translating. 2 seconds doesn't give your fear time to grow. It pushes your brain to think in English without overthinking.
And you might say, but Jack, what if I make mistakes? My answer? Good. Make them. Because every mistake in English is a signal to your brain that English is safe. Every imperfect sentence makes your English voice stronger. And every time you survive speaking, even with mistakes, you teach your brain, hey, this is not dangerous.
I love that. Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are training. Mistakes are the gym for your English brain. Every time you make a mistake, you build a new connection, a new pathway, a new automatic reaction in English. That's how thinking in English becomes natural, through real, imperfect speaking.
And this leads us to the second big strategy. People underestimate this one. Stop translating the world around you into your language. You have no idea how much translation you do unconsciously. You see a door and think door in your language. You see water and think the word in your language. You read a sign and translate it in your head. That habit is strong. You trained your brain to translate everything.
But the moment you start naming things in English, your brain begins to switch its internal operating system. For example, instead of thinking, I'm hungry in your language, say it in English, even inside your mind. When you sit down, think sit. When you drink water, think drink. When you leave home, think let's go. These small switches build thinking in English faster than any grammar book ever will.
People underestimate daily micro-thinking. They think fluency comes from big lessons, long study sessions, hours of practice. No. Fluency comes from tiny English moments repeated 1,000 times. Thinking in English is not a big jump, it's 1,000 small steps.
And speaking of small steps, here's the third technique. Shadowing but simplified. A lot of learners think shadowing means repeating every sentence like a robot. But the real power of shadowing is learning to match the thinking rhythm of English speakers. When you listen and speak at the same time, even loosely, your brain starts to copy not just the sounds, but the thinking flow.
Exactly. It's like riding a bike beside someone. You don't match their exact movement, but you follow their direction and energy. That's what shadowing does. It pulls your brain into English rhythm. And when your brain matches English rhythm, translated thinking disappears naturally.
You know, Jack, I had a student once who shadowed for just 10 minutes every morning. Not perfect shadowing, not accurate pronunciation, just speaking loosely with the audio. After 2 months, he told me, Emma, I don't know what happened. But now I think in English when I walk, when I shower, when I wait for the bus. That's the power of consistent, gentle exposure.
And that brings us to the most important emotional truth. People don't think in English because they don't feel like themselves in English. They feel like English is a mask, a performance, a version of themselves that's not real. And that disconnect is what keeps the brain in translation mode.
But that feeling goes away when you begin using English for your real thoughts, not just for studying. Think about your dreams, your fears, your goals, your crush, your stress, your memories, your anger, your happiness. When you allow English to touch your emotions, your brain instantly connects deeper.
Yes, English becomes a real voice inside you, not a school subject, not something you perform, not something you hide behind. It becomes you. And when English becomes part of who you are, thinking in English becomes automatic.
This is why we always say, don't just learn English, live in English. Speak to yourself in English. Write your feelings in English. Talk about your day in English. Imagine conversations in English. Think in English when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're walking, when you're brushing your teeth.
And there's another powerful thing people don't realize. Your brain has a dominant language shift that happens when one language becomes more emotionally active than the other. That means the language you feel more in becomes the language you think more in. That's why bilingual people often switch their emotional language depending on who they talk to.
Exactly. If English becomes the language you use when you feel brave, honest, expressive, funny, curious, suddenly your brain prefers it. Thinking in English becomes the default because it feels good. It feels comfortable. It feels right.
And here's the truth everyone needs to hear. You are closer to thinking in English than you believe. Your brain already has the pathways. It just needs repetition, emotion, and safety. And once the switch happens, it stays.
That's why this next part is important. The moment when the brain finally stops translating. Most learners don't know what it feels like. They don't know the signs. And they don't realize it's happening slowly and beautifully inside them.
Yes, there are 3 signs your brain is switching. And once these signs show up, you are truly thinking in English. The shift is happening.
Let's go through them. Because once you notice these signs, everything changes. The first sign is surprising. You begin understanding English faster than before, even if you don't know all the words. Suddenly you understand the message, the feeling, the context, without translating every sentence. It feels like your brain is skipping steps because it finally trusts the language.
Exactly. People don't notice this shift at first. They say things like, I don't know how, but I understand more now. That's the brain learning to think in English. You're no longer processing English as foreign. You're processing it as something familiar, something natural. And that shift is huge.
The second sign is even more powerful. Your responses become faster. Not perfect, not advanced, just faster. You stop pausing so long. You stop planning every sentence. You stop searching for words in your language. Words just appear. Thoughts come quicker. You answer more naturally. That's proof your brain is starting to think directly in English.
And learners always say the same thing when this happens. I didn't even think about it. I just said it. That moment is magical. It's the moment you stop forcing English and start flowing in English. It's the moment your English voice stands up and says, let me talk. I got this.
And then comes the third sign, the most emotional one. You start feeling English. Not just speaking it, not just studying it. You feel emotions in English, you laugh in English, you get annoyed in English, you get excited in English, you express your real personality in English. That's when the switch becomes permanent.
Because language is not words, it's identity. When English becomes a language you feel, your brain no longer sees it as foreign. It becomes a part of you. A real, alive, powerful part of who you are.
And when that happens, something beautiful begins. You stop translating, you stop hesitating, you stop being scared of mistakes, you stop comparing yourself to others. And little by little, without even noticing, you start thinking in English. Not sometimes, not only when you're alone, but naturally, automatically, without force.
But here's the thing people misunderstand. Thinking in English doesn't happen in one day. It grows quietly, silently, in moments you don't notice. When you listen to a video, when you shadow quietly, when you talk to yourself in the mirror, when you name things around you, when you stop judging your English voice and start trusting it.
Yes, trust. That's the real key. You must trust your English voice. You must allow it to exist without perfection. You must give it space to grow. You must speak even when you feel nervous. You must practice even when you feel shy. You must accept your mistakes as part of the journey, not proof that you're bad.
And I want to tell you something directly, straight to the listener. Look, you don't think in English because you're not good enough. You don't think in English because you're scared. And fear is normal. Fear is human. But fear shouldn't decide your future.
Exactly. You can think in English. You will think in English. It's already happening inside you. Your brain is learning every time you listen, every time you repeat, every time you speak, every time you try. You are closer than you think, closer than you feel, closer than you realize.
Think about this. Every fluent English speaker you admire was once exactly where you are right now. Lost, nervous, translating every sentence, making silly mistakes, forgetting words, feeling embarrassed, feeling slow, feeling not enough. But they kept going, they kept speaking, they kept trusting themselves.
And so will you. Because this is not just about English. This is about becoming the boldest, bravest version of yourself. This is about expressing who you truly are without fear. This is about giving your English voice permission to live.
So here's our final message for you. Stop waiting for the day you magically think in English. You create that day, you build it, you grow it. One moment, one word, one small English thought at a time. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be brave.
Start today. Start now. Start small. Think one sentence in English. Describe one feeling in English. Talk to yourself for 1 minute in English. And tomorrow, do 2 minutes. The next day, do 3. Build your inner English voice slowly, lovingly, patiently.
And one day, without even noticing, you will wake up and realize, wait, I just thought in English. And from that moment, everything changes.
Everything becomes easier. Everything becomes lighter. Everything becomes natural. Because English is no longer something you do. It becomes something you are.
And when English becomes part of who you are, you will never translate again. You will speak with flow. You will speak with confidence. You will speak with freedom.
And that is the moment you truly become an English speaker.
Not perfect, not native, not flawless, just real, just confident, just you, in English.
And that's the most beautiful version of fluency you can ever achieve.